there is nothing in your life that's going to matter more than relationships. Whether it's platonic relationships, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's professional relationships, nothing in your life is going to matter more than relationships. That includes your relationship with God. So I think the investment that we made in just building a relationship and not defining it, not saying that like, this is going to be a romantic relationship, a relationship. Then we allow God to build around that. And I think being intentional, just keeping it very simple, and then letting the relationship come into whatever God has an idea of in that season for you. Some are for seasons, some will flame out, but there's still things you can take with you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to 2 Decades Deep podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Howard, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, I'm glad you're consuming it in the way that you like to. So today we're going to be talking about relationships, and in a generation that is filled with wondering about timelines, questioning if they even want to be in relationships or partnerships, we're here to address a little bit of that today. I am here with Christine and O. What's up, everyone?
Hi.
I am so glad that you all are here. I know that you all have been just a testament of what dating is, what marriage is, and I just can't wait to dive a little bit more into it.
Same.
Yeah, and I know that, so context as to why they're here. We've known each other for, oh my goodness, since, Christine, when was that? Like 2017?
Is it? Has it been that long?
Yes, it's almost been 10 years. And I've just seen you all from having children and to moving to the South suburbs and being in ministry and things like that. It's been so cool to watch from a bird's eye view.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I think, first of all, U of I I don't know where I would have been if I didn't go to that school. I think that's where, especially for our relationship, being college sweethearts was always like things you saw on TV. Mm-hmm. And to live it out was just like, yeah, I'm super grateful for it. So yeah, man, it's cool.
Absolutely. I thought I was going to find my college sweetheart too, but that wasn't my story. But we're going to focus on you all's story today.
Might still be there. You don't know.
Right?
Could be there.
Just because I'm not in college don't mean I'm not from college. I see where you're getting at. So we're going to dive into that in a minute. But the focus, as I told you all, the focus of this season is nostalgia, and how we describe it is longing for the moments from the past that helped us shape who we are today. So we're going to play a quick game, but I would be remiss to not address that you all recently had a vow renewal celebrating 4 years of marriage. Can you just explain a little bit about what that meant for you all and what was the motivation to do a vow renewal?
Yeah, go ahead.
We did just get back, so everything is very fresh. But we got married in 2021 in a courthouse downtown Chicago, which was like everything that we wanted at the time. We already had a family, and we were just like, let's do it. So we never had a wedding, and our 10-year dating anniversary was December 2025. So we were like, now is the time to do the vow renewal. So we celebrated 10 years of dating and 4 years married. And we just wanted to have a moment where all of our families can be in the same room. That has never happened before. Even our parents, both of our parents being in the same room.
In 10 years of...
In 10 years. So it not only did a lot for our marriage, but just for our family in general. I think when we were planning it, we didn't know how much it would mean for us. Honestly, it was a drag to plan it. We were both like planning other things, doing, we honestly barely put effort into the vow renewal. But the way that it all played out, it was like, wow, how is it so perfect? And we barely did anything, So yeah, I'm so glad we did it though. And yeah. I got to wear a wedding dress, and I got to walk down with my dad, which was, I could have never.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Seeing her walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I saw her coming, and I'm like, she's coming to me. She's about to walk past all these people, all her family, all her friends. She's gonna walk past all of them, leave her father to go take his seat, and come stand next to me. It was amazing.
And that's a beautiful like visualization, because you all have been married, but the fact that you were able to physically see her walk down the aisle, it still had that same effect.
It had that effect. And, you know, I think one of the things that we have always decided to be intentional about is being simple in our relationship. I think people complicate relationships a lot. And, you know, my dad always says a lot of people, they plan for a wedding, but they never plan for a marriage. You know, you plan for that one day and you spend this money, you do all of this, but you have never really invested in forever, right? Planning forever is a lot harder than planning a wedding. So I think what we were able to do was just to use the vow renewal as a byproduct of the forever we had in our hearts and the people that we wanted to see involved in our forever, and to have our children there, our parents. You know, I saw a quote and I commented in this video. It says, don't invite people to your wedding party that don't have the best intentions of seeing your marriage succeed. So having that in mind, it was more than just, you know, a vow renewal. It was like, okay, these are the people that are going to make sure that we commit to what we're telling each other in these vows before God and before man. So to have it and to materialize it was like, it was one of the greatest things that I've done in my life.
And I'm glad that you all were able to have that special moment. And I'm like, let me not cry yet. My goodness, we're only 3 minutes in. But we're going to segue to this game. So it's nostalgia rapid fire. So don't think too much into it.
Okay.
You all can like either point at each other, or you all can say like, oh, this was me when I ask you all the questions. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, this one's for both of you all. What did you get your degrees in at the University of Illinois?
Sports and technology management.
Mine is broadcast journalism.
Awesome. Shout out to journalism. Where was your first date?
I think she always says it was at some burrito spot.
I think it was Burrito
Taco
King.
Burrito King.
Do you remember that spot? I don't know.
Yes, I do remember Burrito King. That is a staple.
And we shared the big burrito.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
You want to tell the part that you always tell people how I behaved at that date? She said that I sat in.
Can we do that in this rapid fire, or should we just like?
Well, actually, one of the questions was, what was your first impression of each other?
We ordered the food, sat down, and he didn't say a word. And we just like ate this burrito, like this ginormous burrito. We cut it in half and we were just eating. I was thinking, like, this is so weird. You know, like he's not even trying to ask. He's just like eating, just like happily. Yeah, literally content.
That's what we came
I'm
to
like,
do.
hello. Like, do you want to know my middle name? Like,
I mean, clearly I haven't had a lot of dating advice at that point. So I wasn't consuming the content of like how to date and what to do on the date. It's just like, we're going to eat and let's do that. And then I think we exchanged some words.
Yeah,
like we talked.
Very little. But my first impression was like, this guy is really comfortable and confident in himself. You know, like he wasn't trying to do, like he wasn't putting on a show or anything. He was just like him, which was weird. Yeah. It was different, you know?
Yeah. And what would you say your first impression of Christine was?
At the date or just in general?
Well, we'll do from the date since we shared that story, yeah.
She remembers this time a lot better than I do, but from what I recall is that like she let me be me, you know, like she wasn't poking and prodding and trying to like manufacture a conversation or like trying to play gotcha, because I feel like that's an easy game to play at dates. But I just felt so content and so comfortable. I was like, all right, well, this feels normal. And I think normal is good because that means you can do it for a long time. So, yeah.
Awesome. We have a few more for you. Who was more social in college?
Definitely me. Yeah.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Who said I love you first?
Me. I hate that story. We won't tell that story. It was so bad.
Oh, man. It was funny.
Okay, do you have a song that made you think of each other when you were in college?
Like the whole Kanye album.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Bryson Tiller.
Yeah, it was that whole 2016 era.
What an era.
Like Drake's. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff we don't listen to now. But Bryson Tiller, feel like we played that a lot in your room though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryson Tiller. What was that song? Don't. Like it was everything that, it wasn't anything we dedicated to each other, but it was just like everything that was playing at the time.
Yeah, for sure. And my last question on this game is, who do you feel like changed the most since college?
This guy.
Yeah.
Like the seasons.
Yeah, I like to evolve.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
For sure. Well, thanks for playing. We're going to go into a little bit more about when you all first met. I know we got kind of context on the first date, but I'd love for you to take me back to when you all first met.
So the first time we met was actually quad day. That was the first time I've ever seen him. I was coming at the time to my sororities table, and his fraternities was like right next to ours. And so we just did a brief little exchange. You know, in that time, when you're in a sorority or fraternity, especially D9, it's like you already know each other without knowing each other.
For sure.
You know, so we shared like a couple one-liners. I think we said something about like my Nike jacket or something like that, and we just kept it moving. That was like the first time we met, but we never really like consider that the first time, right? Like it's just.
Yeah, we had a lot of firsts.
We had a lot of firsts for some reason.
Yeah. But I think I always consider quad day the true first.
Yeah.
Because I think it was the first time I saw her too, which is crazy because this is our senior year at this point. So you go through 4 years, 3 years at that point of college and you don't see somebody. It's kind of strange. And she's Asian, so clearly she stood out. So I'm like, who is this? Where did they get you from? And I remember we took this like group selfie, and I think we still have that picture to this day. And quad day people look for organizations, and I happened to have met my future wife at the time. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's and for those who don't have context, I mean, for those who are in college, a lot of people do quad day. It's when there's a bunch of organizations and people get to go around and see what like they're essentially interested in. And it is fascinating because like what you said, Christine, with a D9, even if you don't know everybody personally, you still like, I know kind of who you are. So that's interesting that you're like, okay, this is senior year and you all are starting to now, like you all started to meet. So I'm interested to know like what was how did that unfold though? Like did you all keep meeting up at different organizations or how did that play out?
Yeah, I think all of it was unintentional. You know, I don't think that we were ever like, oh yeah, we're going to definitely start dating. I think at the time we both were seeing separate people too. Yeah. So it wasn't even as a plot or a ploy, but I remember specifically when I started plotting. It was at some point in the foreign language building, we had these like study hours, and I took her phone and put my number in it.
Period.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, I was like, you know, this infrequent running into each other, it got to end right now. Like I need access. I think that's what I wanted. I wanted access. And, you know, even at those texts and those conversations, it was very cordial, very friendly. It was just like
memes, like it was just funny things.
I was sending her shoes that I was thinking of buying.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, hey, I like appreciate your feedback on stuff. Like let me get it on some things. And then I think it was a particular day when that changed at the Cersei party. You want to talk about that?
You can.
For folks that don't know, Cersei is like this homecoming party that we do every single year, and it's one of the school sanctioned parties. Clearly there's other parties that are unsanctioned by the university, but this one's sanctioned. And I don't even know if I want to talk about the series of events that led up to that, but let's just say I became available. Like that day, I became available. So me and my availability at a homecoming party, um, you know, I saw her in the middle of the dance floor, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to shoot my shot. And at that time, you know, I'm not the man of God that I am now. So I was influenced by certain activities up to that point. So I just walked up to her and I just started to try to make these connections in my mind that like she was number 25, I was number 25 on the football team. I'm like, man, this number means a lot. Like this can't be a coincidence. And I just started, I don't really remember if it was a coherent, like I was making a case for like why we need to be more than what we were at the time. And like, all I know is like whatever argument that I made sense to her. And that kind of kicked things off.
Yeah. That was like the first day of forever. Like it never ended or paused since that day.
Wow.
But it was weird because when he came up to me, he was just like hollering in my ear, right? Because it's music, it's like all this stuff going on. But there was a moment where it was like, I gave in, you know, and I can feel myself giving in because, you know, I was also single. It was my senior year. I had gotten out of a very long-term relationship and I wasn't gonna date. Like, you know, people were trying to talk to me but never as confidently and like securely as he did. And I think that was the one thing that, you know, it just turned something on inside of my brain of like, oh, this guy is like really confident, you know? But the moment we exchanged those words, which again, if you really think about it, it's like, what were we even talking about? It's like literally nothing. But in that moment, like something supernatural happened and it was like, all right, we're doing it. And we didn't say it, but we walked away like, okay, something just happened.
Yeah, I think supernatural is the perfect word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because earlier you said that what you appreciate about your vow renewal, it was just so simple. And I think even the first exchange that you all had was arguably simple. He just came in your ear and you all exchanged a couple words and then the rest was history. But I do think it's important to acknowledge where you all were at that time. You all were both seniors. You all were probably thinking about post-grad, what would that look like? So can you talk a little bit about when you all were dating? Because a lot of people do hesitate to move forward in dating because of circumstances. So was that ever a factor for you all? Like, I mean, you got out of a relationship. Was there ever hesitation or because of how organic it was, all those extra or outside factors kind of silenced?
I will say when we started, I didn't have that picture in my mind, right? Of, oh, he can be my boyfriend or he can be my husband or, you know, it happened at a gym, essentially, you know, a dance party. And then in my mind, I was like, he's not serious because he had just joined this fraternity, right? It's hard to talk about our past without like, because that was such a huge influence
for sure
in us even being together. But I was like, he's 4 months in, you know, let's just, in my mind, it was like, we're just going to have fun. One thing I liked about him was like, I've never heard anything about him, right? And same for him, like he's never really heard anything about me. And that was the one thing that I was like, okay, this kind of feels like a, you know, a clean slate. So in my mind, I was like, senior year, I'm single for the first time in forever. I'm just going to have fun. Like, I didn't think further than like tomorrow, basically.
Trying to have all that fun. I just put an end to it. Ain't nobody about to have fun around here. Like, you're about to be looking for nobody else. I am here. But yeah, I think when people are dating, and I'm very so hard pressed to give dating advice because I don't think there was a single piece of dating advice that helped put all together what we're experiencing right now. If I was to say anything, it's to just be extremely open-minded. I think my open-mindedness to just getting to know somebody and to know somebody for who they are. I think if you're having a hesitation in dating, or you're worried about your career, or you're worried about what's happening next, there is nothing in your life that's going to matter more than relationships. Whether it's platonic relationships, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's professional relationships, nothing in your life is going to matter more than relationships. That includes your relationship with God. So I think the investment that we made in just building a relationship and not defining it, not saying that like, this is going to be a romantic relationship, this is going to, a relationship. Then we allow God to build around that. And I think being intentional, just keeping it very simple, and then letting the relationship come into whatever God has an idea of in that season for you. Some are for seasons, some will flame out, but there's still things you can take with you to your next step. And I'm not saying carry baggage with you, but at least carry the lessons. Mm-hmm. And I think that was our intention going in. And we had no idea it would end in 3 kids, a house, a marriage. Like, nobody was thinking about all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that does bring up something that I think is really important. I mean, I'm currently dating, and relationship advice that I've actually gotten from couples is to be open-minded. And that's something that I think, at least for me, when I was in college, I had a specific type. This is what I want. This is how I want it to come. But obviously dating is not like that. And so you all shedding light, like you were very like, okay, I'm just having fun. I'll see where this unfolds. You were like, I'm dating with intention, but I'm also being open-minded. Can you share a little bit else just generally about how did you all approach dating in your 20s? I know you all were together for the majority of your 20s, but just giving a little insight as to how you all approached it.
That's a good question. I think what's really important is, and this might seem kind of cliche, but the people around you, the friends, the circle that you keep as you are considering somebody. Being honest, there was somebody in my friend group that was speaking that like, hey, I don't think that's the right person for you. And one of the things that we made clear to each other is that like, we're not going to make a relationship of 2 a relationship of 20, Mm-hmm. So even from my parents, like if I kept my parents' advice for looking for a spouse, I would never met Christine.
Wow.
If I listened to what they told me about relationships, now I'm not here to preach, but there's a difference between honor and obedience. Like I can honor my parents and respectfully disagree that like I'm supposed to marry a Nigerian, right? There's a lot of that you hear in cultural context that you should, but I was open-minded and I was just like, hey, I just want to figure out for me, because I'm the one that's going to spend forever with this person. So whose opinion should matter more?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to have to live with them, So I think when people are considering dating and taking advice, I think you should pay very close attention to the people around you and what they're saying, because that can kill a thing before it even starts. So I was lucky enough to be around enough people that were happy about who I was becoming, and they saw me happy and they was like, oh, that's good enough for me. Like, you're happy, you look genuinely happy, versus people that may see that happiness and want the opposite for you. So I think that helped a lot.
Yeah. I think we set a good tone for the beginning of our relationship like that, where I had a group of girlfriends and he had a group of guy friends, but we never talked about like what we were going through. Like, and till this day, that's how we are. I think it's more so who we are as people, as opposed to like how we operate in the relationship. But we never, like, even when we were dating, if we fought, I would never like go and call my friend and be like, you'll never guess what he did, or like, or those girl debriefs that we usually do. Like I would never talk about my relationship, in those spaces. Mm-hmm. And it really is like a protection thing, because from jump, I can tell that some people didn't really understand like what I was doing, because I just went full force, and it was kind of like, you know, like chill, or like, what are you doing? Like he basically moved in with me like like the second day, but not technically, but yeah. And it was just, everything was happening really fast. And it was something where it was like, I didn't even spend time trying to explain it, because it's like, I know you won't understand it, because I barely understand what's going on, you know? So we kept things very like tight. And then also, as far as navigating dating, I think for the most part, when I was that age dealing with him, I was such a go with the flow person, almost to a fault, I think, which, I mean, it got us to where we are today, but I really did just like, if it took me left, I was going to go left. If it took me right, I was going to go right, because there was a part of me that was like, it's all going to end well. You know, even if this was like a little odd, okay, he wants to do this, but I'm confused about it. I really just went with the flow, and it all worked out, you know, regardless. But it was a lot of movements and changes and phases and things. So,
yeah. And one thing that you said that really stood out to me is you said, like, as people, we're naturally like private, and that also reflects in our relationship. And I love when people say like who they are individually, or maybe with their friend groups, is also how they show up in relationships. And so I just thought that was like a really cool point to that. But then you said that you kind of just went with the flow. If he went left, you went left. If she went right, you went right. Can you talk about what that looks like as you all are evolving and navigating like different parts of your life? Because who you are at 21 will not be who you are at 25, et cetera. How are you all able to still pursue individual endeavors, pursue individual things, but then also prioritize your relationship? Because I think that is also a barrier that a lot of people face, especially in their 20s.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because, you know, you're starting a thing and you're investing time hoping that it will be fruitful, right? I don't think anybody initiates any date and like, oh man, I hope this thing doesn't work out, you know. And if you're doing that, you're a terrible person, first of all. But I think if you see the person exhibiting characteristics and traits that you will want, and you are pursuing to exhibit those characteristics and traits that person deserves, it will end in a much better light. What I mean by that is the way that she says that, like, if I go left, she goes left. If I go right, she goes right. It's still like that. There's still a level of respect that she has for me and my leadership and the direction that I want my life, and by extension, her life when we come together, and by extension, our family when we come together, where she's just like, well, I trust where this person is going. So I think as a man, you need to have a sense of direction for your life. And if you meet a person and every time you want to go left, they go right, that's probably a function of your leadership abilities. And I'm not gonna tell her to not to zig when you zag, because she's probably concerned. She's probably don't feel safe. She don't feel secure. She feel like if I follow you, my career is gonna be over with. And I think, at least speaking as a man, I took a lot of pride in saying I may not have everything figured out, but I always would tell her my vision for life and who I wanted to become and the type of man that I wanted to be, and you know, and me understanding who she wanted to be. She spoke so highly of motherhood early in our relationship. And that gave me such comfort, because I'm just like, if I ever was to procreate with this person, she would take care of these children. Like, she just had a heart for children. And she, like I said, she was exhibiting the characteristics and the traits of somebody that I knew I could spend forever with. So when I started focusing on that and honing in on that, I'm just like, everything else is noise. This is somebody that I can spend a lot of time with. So as long as somebody's exhibiting those things early, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be there all the way. But if you see those things, then you gotta just start pulling on that string and seeing what would be the end of it.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes when you're dating, you can see a characteristic in someone, right? Like, oh, he's hardworking. You love that. And then you start dating them and it's like, oh, now he's too hardworking. Now he works 6 days a week and I don't have, I think there comes a time when you're dating someone and then when it gets serious and you see the sacrifices. There's sacrifices in everything, right? When we were dating, ever since I've met him, he's always been big on ideas and big on execution. Like if he says he's going to do something next week, I have to figure out how I'm going to make this work, and it's like that till this day, that's how we operate. And, while we were dating, what that looked like for me, like having to go with the flow is like, we met senior year. We both extended our time at U of I to get our master's. So we technically had 2 years together on campus. But once that was over, this man, I don't even know what came first, San Francisco or China. I think it was China. He's like, I'm going to China. And, we spent 2 years together like every single day. And he's just like, I'm going to China. And, before we were married, communication wasn't our best thing. He was just hyper focused on making something with his life. And I respected that. And I knew that I wasn't top priority. I was like, how could I even ask to be top priority right now? We're so young. He has so much he wants to do. I just kind of had to be patient. And like, not only did I have to trust him, but I had to trust God that like, I'm supposed to fit in here somewhere, and I was at that point in my life where it was like, if I didn't fit in, like, I'm okay with that. I know we didn't get to go into details of like all the odds that we had to face in our relationship, but
it's been struggles for sure.
Yeah, I was like, if it's not meant to be, I'm willing to give it all up. I was at that point in my life, where it's like, I'm not going to hold him down and like make it work and make his life miserable just to make it work, pick a fight every day. And so I was just, whatever he was doing was just like a phone call. Hey, I'm going to China for like 3 months or something like that. And then he came back and it's like, oh, hey, I'm actually moving to San Francisco. Which this became a big conversation for us later on in life because I was like, you never even asked me. Like, I'm like crying for weeks and he has no idea because he's in San Francisco, like building this startup. We barely talked. Like we went weeks. Maybe that's like a stretch, but we went a long time without even talking on the phone.
It was inconsistent.
And we were dating and we were like 2.5 years in. I feel like anybody would have been like, oh, I'm done. Like, this is crazy. I'm like, hey, can you text me that, you're alive? He's like, can I text you every other day? Cause I'm busy. Like, do you remember that? That's a real conversation.
It's a real conversation.
He's like, I'm sorry, I cannot text you every day, you know?
Well, I would say in my defense,
defend yourself. Right.
Speak on it.
In my mind, I'm like, if I don't become something, I'm never going to be able to give her anything. Like I was so, and I'm not saying this is the right mindset. I'm just saying like, I don't have anything to offer. Like I don't have a house to put you in. I don't have a career, right? Like I need to establish myself for me, for my family in order to have the stability. And like in hindsight, I understand the direction that I was taking things because, stability is an important thing to provide in a relationship. And I was not stable. It was sporadic. And the startup life was like, okay, I didn't even know I was moving to San Francisco. It was just like, all right, we left China, now I'm going to San Francisco. But one thing that I can point to as a lesson in all of this is going to be harsh, but there's a difference between dating and marriage. There's a huge difference. Like, and I never told her to think like this, but the audacity of wanting to be treated like a wife before becoming one. It's like,
gosh,
you speaking to me too.
it's we cannot blur the lines.
Yeah. There's
something sacred about marriage. There's something special about it. There's an elevation that comes with it. And I think the problem is if you try to incline and make it gradual, by the time marriage happens, it loses a lot of its meaning, And like I said, this is all in hindsight. But at that point in our life, a marriage is two people building and then coming together to build. As much as I was building, she was building too. Like, she was building who she is and who she wanted to become and learning more about herself. And because when we started dating, we never had that time of being alone and building by ourselves and being comfortable by yourself and being secure by yourself. If you don't solve that problem, you're just going to bring insecurity with insecurity and create instability. So I think at that moment in time, and it wasn't me, it wasn't her. I think God was just like really refining and pruning us in that season so that we can be stable and secure by ourselves. Because now, like, we're so secure in our relationship. It's like, now I can travel and do ministry and she's not worried about anything. Now we can do these things in parallel and still come back to each other knowing that, like, man, our love for each other is as strong as it's ever been. But that's because we didn't build it ourselves. So we can't take the credit for it.
Yeah, there's so much there. And I do want to get to the game shortly, but I want to ask you all a follow-up question. So there was a season where you all spent time apart and you all were able to grow individually. And I think what you said is so wise about like these expectations when you're dating versus you're taking the next step to commitment in marriage and what you learned through that. What were some things that you felt like, Christine, you learned in that separation period?
I think for me, in the separation period, it was probably harder. It was for sure harder on me than him, right?
Yeah.
But in that time apart, I really did learn that I have no control over this. Like, it made my, faith grow so much more because I knew there was nothing that I could do to make this work. I knew there was nothing that I could do, especially with the distance, to like keep him like mine, keep him, faithful, committed. Everything was out of my hands. We, again, weren't even communicating, for a good span of time. Although we were like, oh, we're still together. Everyone else knew we were still together. Everyone else, nothing on the outside changed, but on the inside, I knew so much was shifting. And I just really had to take that time to be secure with whatever outcome that was. There's like a saying, like something about faith where you like take the next step without seeing like the whole staircase or something like that. There's something that's, more better worded than that. But that was really what that season was. It was like, staying committed and having faith that like God is going to work all of this out. Whatever that next step was going to be was going to reveal itself without me having to go like look for it or do something, to like get to that next step.
Yeah. And tangibly, what does that look like?
In that time? I think just being patient.
Yeah.
There was a lot of conversations, again, going back to like this communication where I was like, hey, I was really trying to figure out a middle ground. Whereas like I accepted him for what he was doing at that time and who he was. I did fly to San Francisco often to see him, right? So every couple of weeks I would fly out there and I saw the life that he was living. It wasn't like he was laying in bed and not texting me, like he was literally working all day and night. Like it wasn't a 9 to 5, So I understood. And I think it was just like, this is how we're going to make it work. Like if we can't text, like he doesn't have the like interest to keep a conversation going in text. He doesn't have the interest to like stay on the phone and like know what I'm doing, that, like that's just not him.
That sounds horrible.
So it was really like, okay, I'm going to book this flight to see him. And then when I come home, I'm going to have to accept that this is the time that we spend apart. It really was a lot of time by myself and like sad. Like I was really sad at that time. I was in a transitional period too, like graduating from school. I was working at Yelp for like 6 months as I forgot what that title was even called. Like advertising, marketing, something like that, basically doing sales. So I was miserable, and it was just like a season that I just had to sit in. I was like, I knew I wasn't ready to just be like, I'm done with you and really mean it. And I was just willing to wait it out and see,
Yeah. And I think this is a good way to put a pin in that for a second, because we're going to talk about where you all are now and what it looked like for you all to commit. But we have this segment called Let's Go Deeper, where the audience has an opportunity to ask about a specific topic. And so from our channel, you all will pick out of this bowl. It will be a random topic. And you can go as in depth or as not in depth about the situation, about your opinion about it. So you all can pick out of this bowl.
Okay.
And give insight.
Do you want me to go first?
Do we both pick one or we share it?
You all can each speak on it. It's up to you all, how you all want to take it.
Healing from heartbreak.
Have you ever been heartbroken?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Have you? No. Yes.
Yes. Well, it's relative. What is heartbreak? What is heartbreak?
I'm assuming it's probably from a breakup. I'm assuming.
And this is like in our relationship, right?
From your perspective, yeah.
Okay.
My first thoughts, wow. My first thoughts like, don't give your heart to just anybody.
Yeah.
Man, I think the heart is such a very precious thing. And I think if you're looking for practical ways to heal from it, I think it's to be very intentional with like who you give the rest of your heart to, who you give the pieces, the fragments, who around you can help stitch you back together. And that's a supernatural surgery, you know? I'm led to use scripture, but, when we talk about who Jesus is and why he came to this world, one of his assignments is literally to heal the brokenhearted. Okay, well, that means that like when scripture is being written and prophecies were being made, heartbreak was a part of what will happen to people. And God is so wise that he knows the end and the beginning, that he knows problems that we're going to face and give us the solution before the problem. Okay, so now we have a solution in this man named Jesus. So that means that like, okay, he's somebody that can help guard you from heartbreak. And if you find yourself in that situation, he's here to help heal you from it. Okay, how does that look like? The way that God can love us is a way that can make up for people's inability to love us. And that's powerful. Mm-hmm. That means somebody can love you so wrong, but God can love you so right that he makes up for it. And I think that's important to have in a relationship, because in any relationship, when you compare how Christine loves me compared to how God loves me, it will be silly to put her in a situation where she has to meet that standard. So whenever I fall short, whenever I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, and I don't have the man to look her, I'm not man enough to look her in the face, I can look up to God and pray and say, I repent, and I'm hoping that God is making space for her to heal from where I have fallen short. So there's a grace that you give people, knowing that like, man, we are humans. We're going to hurt each other. But there's an allocation that God made in his love and his grace and mercy towards us to help compensate for where people fall short. And if you're not religious, I would just say find people who have the biggest heart around you, because that's what you're going to need in that season. For me, that's God. That's God-fearing people. So whenever situations that come to me are like that and I heal from it, it's never because somebody said sorry for what they did. Mm-hmm. That's a part of it. And I hope people will apologize for the wrong that they do to people. But man, that's people that's going to break your heart and never apologize for it. Mm-hmm. Your repair cannot come from the people that broke you. Mm-hmm. That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I pray that they come and apologize one day, but you can find healing even if you never see them again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think when you are married, what healing from heartbreak looks like is love, right? As like cliche as that sounds, I think moments like that are great reminders that he is his own person and I am my own person, right? And he's dealing with things and I'm dealing with things. And the difference when you're married is like you've already made this commitment, and the shortcomings that has happened is a reflection of like this person that you love, right? Mm-hmm. the only way you really heal yourself is to, one, forgive. But I think the only way that you can really forgive someone is from a place of love. You know, I think when you're dating, it's easy to be possessive and to be, what is that word when it's like you entitled, which you love that word.
I love that word.
He hates when people are entitled, but you feel entitled, like I don't deserve this. I don't, you know, it's easy for you to fall into that pit, but you'll never dig yourself out of it. Saying that you deserve better is not going to dig you out of that pit, you know? So when someone hurts you or when someone does something to you, my favorite like quote that I live by is like, life does not happen to you. It happens for you, you know? And everything that we've gone through in our relationship has only brought us closer, right? Because once something happens in our relationship, we kind of like pull away from each other for a second and like talk to each other as individuals, right? Like, how did that happen? How, like, we just get deeper into what that is. And then as a team, try to fill that void, right? As opposed to like, now like I'm resenting him and we're like on separate teams. So I think healing from a heartbreak for us in our marriage and relationship in general has always been like overcompensation of love and like forgiveness, you know? And it's easy, especially for a woman, because again, I've been there where it's like, oh, I don't deserve this. It's easier for us when we step away from that. When I'm like, okay, I can't look at this from like a wife perspective. Like I'm looking at like him as a person, you know? So, yeah, I think that's how it looks like for me.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it here, but when we come back,
period.
we're going to talk about the difference between heartbreak from people you have to walk away from and heartbreak from people you have to return to. I think I have a separate response, but we'll come back.
Part 2 later. We'll give you a couple more, so you all can each pick one, and then. Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
What does that one say?
Situationships. I don't know if I'm qualified to speak. Why is your face like that?
Because what are we talking about here, man? Situation. This one's going to be short.
Okay, go ahead.
End them all.
Yeah.
Situationships are like a recipe for disaster. It's undefined. It lacks clarity. It's unstable, and it's immature. And I know I'm sounding harsh right now. It's because I'm really trying to protect people from this.
Yeah.
I think situationships will occupy the space where a real relationship should. And that's sad, you know, like somebody could be sitting in this seat, but because you got somebody sitting halfway on it, somebody waiting for you to get up so that they can take the rightful seat. And situationships is just like, if you can't properly define the expectations and the outcomes, like all relationships are defined, you know, all relationships have expectations and intentions behind it. Just like our relationship with God. Our relationship with God is not a situationship. God is fully invested in loving us, and we should be fully invested in loving him back. Boom. Anything where you can't get both parties to commit to, I mean, I'm sure there are some that can be salvaged, but for the most part, I just can't. If I had a little brother and he was in a situationship, I'll figure out who's the one causing the situation, and then we'll talk to that person. Because it's most of the time, it's never both people. It's somebody that's just like, you know, I just want to keep you around long enough until I can see if there's nobody else for me. That's kind of wicked. Yeah. Just like you just going to occupy 4 years of this person's life because you're not confident enough to figure out if somebody will really like you apart from them.
Yeah.
It's kind of mean.
I want to touch on something that you like mentioned when you were talking about girlfriends wanting to be wives. I think we as women, it's hard, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. It's hard for me to, you know, do things or not do things because of that title, right? But after 10 years, to give you some context, I was already taking care of this man, like well before we were even in a relationship. Like I remember the first like I was already doing your laundry. I mean, but that sounds crazy. But like, you know, he stayed over and then he left his stuff and I was like, okay, let me just throw it in my, but in my mind, I was like, why am I doing this guy? You know, but I was already doing things like that. And someone could have looked at that and was like, and could be like, oh, she's doing wife things. You know, you make a meal for someone. It's like, oh, you're not a wife. Why would you do that? You know, you like, you take care of something for this person and they make you feel like you shouldn't be doing that. But I think really what situationships and being with someone that doesn't choose you is how you give yourself. And that's your heart, your energy, your time, and, you know, your ability to submit to them. So if a guy that I'm not dating tells me, you know, like he's canceling like a date that he planned, right? The next time it comes around, if I'm busy that day, I'm going to be busy that day, you know, as opposed to, I feel like a lot of times we'll be like, okay, we'll shift some things around. We'll make it work. Like, you know, if you're not mad at him already, but it's really taking back that control. Like being a wife is not just making dinner and you know, it's really about who you are as a person and how you show up for the next person. Because I'm sure you've made dinner for your friends, or, you know, that doesn't really define your level of commitment. So like when you're in a situationship, you have to understand, as women, you're putting your most like sacred parts of you into it, right? You're giving this person your time. As much as we want to pretend like we don't care as much, we care. And that's important, you know, like I'd rather do your laundry than care about you at this point, you know, like that's nothing. I'm doing my own laundry already. So that's how you have to think about it. Like when you allow yourself in a situation with someone who is not choosing you, that's what you're doing, you know? And I think there has to be some type of psychology, right? When a girl is not really focused on you like that, and you know there's things that she's doing, it makes you more attractive. And 100%. we have to let men like be men. Like let them come after us. Let them what
does that one say?
Finding yourself as a mom and wife.
I feel like what she's speaking to is like that work starts so early, right? Like you developing that mindset of like, I'm going to allow this person to be who God made him to be. And I'm going to be who God made me to be. And I'm not going to let somebody who's failing in his obligations to allow me to fail in my own. Like, I feel like what you're saying here is, I've heard it said that I'm not going to be feminine, or I'm not going to submit, speaking in marriage right now, because he's not leading or he's not loving. If somebody is failing in school, are you going to be like, oh, they're failing in school, so I'm going to fail too? God is going to judge you both separately. And both of you have an obligation to fulfill not what each other necessarily require of each other, but what you committed to. So how it looks like as me, it's just like, even if I feel like I'm not getting everything that I need to get, I'm going to give everything that I need to give. And that takes so much maturity. So, you know, and the reason why this came up as she was speaking is there are so many times where, you know, you try to play this dance of like, well, I'm going to do this if you do that, or I'm going to do this if you do that. And it's this like, it's this dance. The way it's supposed to work, we both just do it. I'm going to be a man. You're going to be a woman. I'm going to be a father. You're going to be a wife. Like, imagine saying, I'm not going to be a good father if I don't have good children. You know how that sounds? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You're not going to be a good wife. You're not going to be a good husband. You're not going to be a good anything. And you're going to let external circumstances determine how you are, who your identity is, your reputation. Nah, man. I don't think that's good way to live life.
Yeah. I feel like situationships bring that out of you too.
100%.
Like they treat you wrong, now you're a horrible person. Yeah. And now you're horrible to them, and to
everybody that comes next. It's just, yeah. Don't let people ruin who you are. Don't give them that power.
Yeah.
They're not that powerful.
Yeah.
No.
And was there one more, or
This one was finding yourself as a mom
And a wife.
and wife.
That's hard to answer. I feel like I've always been a mom and a wife. I've always been.
Yeah. You definitely always exhibited those characteristic traits before you had the role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think God just made me like that.
Yeah.
I do it.
Very naturally.
Yeah. I can't.
Like you were made for this.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I wish we could talk to you all day about like all the things that people wanted to answer, but I think that's a really good segue back into like where you all are now. So I know that you all had like a time where you all were away. You were flying to San Francisco. You were also simultaneously building yourself and figuring out who you were. You were building your startup, etc. I would love to know, like briefly, when did that time come where you all were like, no, we are committed to each other, and you started to move towards marriage?
I think this is a me question. We was talking about this in the car, like who chooses and who gets chosen. And we have an answer. There was a point where we were separated in 2019. And we just made up our mind that like, hey, we just gonna be good friends.
We're gonna co-parent.
Yeah, mind you, we already have a child in this situation, and like, I don't recommend it.
No.
Honestly, I think we have to have a serious conversation about, and this is the thing, being a wife before you're married and doing all the activities before you get to the place to do them. It's a very dangerous game. And we played that game. And it's only the grace of God that sustained us. So we got to a point and I went to Israel. And this is why, our relationship with God, and that's where I'm getting into, is so pivotal in where we are right now. Because during that trip in Israel, I was just like, something was changing in me. I'm just like, I just want God. Like I ran after him as hard as I can. Like I was running and I fasted for 40 days. And I was just running after God and being so intentional with my relationship with God. And that's when I found my wife. It's like I found my wife in prayer. And it's like I already knew her, but I never knew her as my wife until I really ran after God. And I came back from that trip and I proposed. Mind you, before I went on the trip, we were broken up with.
We never talked about marriage,
Never.
even after a kid.
I heard clear as day, that's your wife. You couldn't tell me, what else do I need? What else? Who's gonna give me more confirmation than God can give me? Who's gonna give me more confidence than he can give me? Who? And that's when the more that I ran towards God, the more that I became more secure in who I could be for her and what I can offer her. I have a greater connection with the Father now. If anything that I need to give to you, I can get from him. And now that he's close, oh, you can have it all. Before, I was functioning from what I can provide her from myself. And that was very little. Very little. So the more that I ran towards God, and even till this day, our relationship is better when our relationship with God is prioritized. It could really be that simple. So, COVID happened and we, there was a ton of COVID weddings. Nobody knew where COVID was going. And that's when we made the decision to just go to the courthouse. And like, we're not going to wait for this thing to, pass us by. We have no idea what was going on. Yeah. But the intentionality behind it was like, hey, I believe this is what God said. I believe that she saw something different in me when I returned. So I think it'd be cool for you to talk about the other side of it. And because you didn't have to say yes, but you did.
Yeah.
Why?
this conversation is literally barely touching the surface. There's so much that's happened. And as simple, quote unquote, as we are, right? This relationship has always been complex in like the best way, right? I used to tell him for the first like 2 years of our relationship, I still felt like I was trying to figure him out. Like I never felt like I really understood him in our relationship. And I just don't get it. And even our dating life now, when I look back at it, I still don't get it. And I think that really is what it looks like when you don't try to take control of something. You know, I think about, in retrospect, I think about all the times that I could have left. I think about all the times that he could have left, all the times that we could have just been like, what are we doing?
It's
you
very
know?
fragile.
Yeah. And it's like, when he came back from Israel, so we decided, okay, we're going to break up. Like I was at that point, and there was only a handful of points in our relationship where I was like, I can't do it. And at this point I was like, I can't do it. And we were both just fighting and we weren't getting anywhere, and we had a baby, and a lot was happening. And I remember telling him, like, it's fine if this doesn't work. I just know you will never find someone that will love you the way that I love you.
She's right.
And knowing that made me feel okay, like letting it go. Like I was like, I'm going to let it go. Because I never loved him for like what he could bring to the table, what he offered. I never asked him for marriage. Like I never really wanted a lot from him, which is weird from a...
Can I interrupt real quick? Because I think this is very important. Like, she loved me for who I was. That type of love really only comes from God. And when I mean like for who I was and am, she was not trying to change me or remold me or pick out the parts of me that she don't like. And she was not trying to build a man, playing Build-A-Bear. She was not trying to like add things to me and remove things. She was just like, hey, if I'm going to be here, it's because who you are in this present moment. And then feeling that was just like, okay, I need to improve who I am in this present moment. Mm-hmm. And it creates this cycle of like, you love me at point Z. Okay, let me get to Y now. Because if you love me at Z, you gonna love me at Y. And then you get to Y, and then you keep going. Because if you get this love right now, after you improve, that love is gonna come with you. And that was also one of the things, like when she says this stuff, I know my brother said this about renewal, that like she is the only person in the world that could have married me. And I really believe that, because it's like when you talk about the bone of your bone, it's like she is the perfect person in the whole world for me. Once you figure that out, you better lock it down. Mm-hmm. Oh, because you're going to regret it. That's not my situation, though.
Yeah. So he came back from Israel, and it was actually Christmas after church. He like proposed to me, and I was like, what do we never even established that we were back together. Like, let's put some like context. It just happened so fast, but I knew in my heart, I was like, we're going to do it. And I'm still, when it comes to him, it really is, if this is not God, it's not going to work out. Mm-hmm. And in every point of our relationship, like the cultural, when we had to, talk to my parents about it, when he had to talk to his parents about it. And it's like, at every point, it's like, if this is not God, we're not going to beat this odd. Yeah. Like in the moment, it was just too big, like it was so big that it's not like, okay, if I cut my hair, then he'll be with me. Like there was nothing that was in our control, So when he proposed, it was like, I'm just going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to say yes. And mind you, we're like not on great terms, like we weren't the best to each other, but I was like, I'm going to do it. Like he says he's different. So we're going to try it. And from that day, like, I don't even know who that other person was that I was dating. You know, like all that, like, who am I dating? What are we doing? Like, what is this relationship? Like, from that moment, like, I knew, like, he's choosing me, you know? And there's like, ever since that moment, no matter what adventure he's on, next business idea, next, you know, ministry group, I've never questioned like what we were doing. And it's just, it really, a lot of my friends would be like, oh, like, what did you do? Like, how did you get him to change? Because, you know, a lot of people witness this journey that like he's been on. And I'm like, it's not me. Like, I can't give you any advice. Like, I couldn't get him to choose me for the life of me, you know? Like, and I didn't necessarily try, but it's like when God speaks to a person, and especially a person who's obedient, and a lot of the life that we live right now is because he's been obedient, right? To like what God tells him to do. And I'm just like following suit. You know, I always tell him, like, ever since I've gotten married to him, I feel like I'm a little bit dumber, like wiser, but dumber. Cause there's a part of your brain that just, I don't need it anymore. You know, like, I don't need to think about these things anymore. I'm going to give it to you, you know, like all the big decisions, things like that. It's like, that's out of my mind. I'm thinking about how to, you know, raise kids and, you know, so it's like, yeah, once that merge happened, it was literally a light switch, and we had no control over it. And every time I look back at our relationship, it really is like, wow, we've been letting God really do his thing. And like a lot of things took forever, right? Like a lot of things felt like it took years. And then the best things felt like it took literally one decision, and we've been like living it and enjoying it.
Yeah. You have to let God write your love story. He's the best author. Like, he knows the exact piece of us that need to change to increase our compatibility with somebody. He knows the exact words we need to say for somebody to feel the appreciation that they haven't been getting. You know, I feel like there was a lot that we both were missing out on when we wasn't, you know, taking our relationship with God seriously. And it's not like we didn't go to church. I think going to church and taking your relationship with God seriously are two different things. You know, but I think I got in the position where I was like, I'm running after God. She's just like, well, if that's the direction that he's going in, I'm going to go find him there. Her relationship with God changed. And then we began to see the best parts of each other and offer that. And that's what we plan on doing for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. I have a few more questions for you before we wrap it up, but I would love to know, like, what are the sweetest parts, would you say, of your marriage? And like, what are things that you all intentionally work on to make sure that your marriage stays fruitful?
You want to do sweet and I'll do sour?
The sweetest things. I think the sweetest thing about our marriage is really just the relationship that we have with each other. And I think it's something that even strangers can see. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, right? But all the times that we used to travel before we had kids, we would just have like strangers come up to us. Like someone on the plane did a whole shoot with his camera while we were sleeping. And we still have those pictures to this day. Because she was just like, you know, I like love how you guys are. She said something really sweet.
She picked up my camera while we were sleeping and took a picture of us. Yeah. Beautiful picture too.
Yeah. And, you know, in the delivery room when we gave birth to one of the kids, the nurse was just like, you guys are... Again, I can't remember exactly, but she was just in awe of our relationship. And it's always been like that. I don't know what it is, but it's something about him that I am just always like gushing over. I remember when we first dated, one of our friends, she's like, oh, that's just a honeymoon phase. It's going to be over. And in my mind, I'm like, what a hater. Like, who says that? You know, but I was like,
they still waiting for it to be over.
I kept it in mind. I was like, I wonder when that's going to happen. But it's like, we always find ourselves back at that point, you know, and it could be like a regular Monday. We went to McDonald's and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're at that point again, you know? So it's like this, we always meet each other, and it's never a long time. Like it's not like we go through a year of drought and then, you know, it's like for us, it's anything. And I think it really goes to show that when you are happy with the little things, the simple things, you could find it anywhere. But if you have to wait for a whole like vacation to Cancun to find that joy, it's probably going to take you a while, or you may never get there again, you know? So for us, it's always just been like little joking around the house. Like we always say, like, no one can probably move in with us because like it's like who we are in our own space is like, you would never guess when we're, outside.
It's a whole TV show.
Yeah. So that's the sweetest thing. It's like, it never gets old. It never gets dry. It's always something about him. And it's always been like that. Like I've always been obsessed with him. And I feel like that's going to be the case forever, I'm sure.
I love the way she loves me. It's like, she has this way of disarming me. And I got to put up my manly man. I got to get back on my, got to put some bass in my voice here. Yeah, I love that part about our relationship. I'll talk about the sour stuff because I could talk about the sweet stuff forever. I think managing it all. I think God has blessed us with so much. Like, so much. And we have to steward it properly. We have to steward our relationship with each other, our relationship with each of our children, not just the children as a whole, but like each of them. We have to steward our relationship as a family of 5, 5.
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, I was like, is this a pregnancy announcement?
We have to steward our house. We have to steward our finances. We have to steward our ministry. We have to steward our relationship with our friends and make sure that we're surrounding our children with people that will be good uncles and aunties. And, it's just like if you don't find the harmony of it, you can be overwhelmed. And sometimes, if when things are just out of sync, you can just look at it all and almost resent the blessing that God has given you. And that's a very dangerous place to be in, where it's just like, yeah, we prayed for this house and now we're mad because we have to go fix this leak. And it's just like, like if you dwell on it too much, you can just be ungrateful. And I think we're just learning to be grateful for it all, even when it all is not going well, or, we're practicing slowing down and being patient and not having to rush everywhere. And like, even for me, like one of our kids take a little longer than the rest. And it's just like, all right, let's not rush them. Oh, I give the gender away.
Good thing we have 2 boys.
Just to be patient. He gonna watch this one day and be like, that's what it's about. Right. But yeah, just like in the moment of it, when everything is firing it off, and we had a soccer season. We became soccer parents for the first time. And we like, God help us, but it's such a blessing all the while. So I think we're still learning on how to manage it all, because there wasn't a rule book. It's not like I read a book, How to Be a Soccer Dad while being a pastor and a father and a good husband and a good friend. It's just like, I never read a book like that. But, just learning and applying it as you go is still something that we're trying to get better at.
Yeah. And with that, we always end our segments, our episodes with a segment, like what I wish I would have known. And we try to reflect on, from this expertise or from this level of where we are now, what is something that they wish they would have known? You could take it either way. Either something that you wish you would have known in dating, or something that you wish you would have known in marriage that you know now, that you would love for people to know.
Who's gonna go first here? There's a lot of things, but if I can reduce it to one, I think you really need to learn how to love your partner. I'm speaking to the men here. I'm gonna look at this camera. Your single greatest honor and responsibility in life is to properly love your wife. And the only way you're going to learn how to do that is from what God tells you and what she tells you. If you can love your wife well, your children are going to be better off. Your ministry is going to be better off. Your friendships are going to be better off. Society is going to be better off. Society is going to be better off. And I think as men, if I can speak about what I wish I knew, the sooner you focus on improving that, the better your life gets. It's like a garden. You need to learn to cultivate it and to figure out the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of nutrients. You need to properly position in a way so that it can become its best self. That's your responsibility. And you're stewarding that. Like for a long time, I was like, if I become a better employee, I'll be a better husband. If I become a harder worker, no. Marriage is free for a reason. Now the wedding could be expensive, but like it's absolutely free to love your wife as Christ loved the church. Ephesians 5. And if you can get that early, I mean, day one, if you just focus on loving, forget providing, protecting, and all the buzzwords that we tell husbands, you not protecting somebody you don't love. You're not providing for somebody you don't love, at least not adequately. So like you really, 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 really need to do everything you can to make sure she, not according to your opinion, according to her opinion and God's understanding, that you love her. If you can do that, your marriage is going to be sweet. So, yeah.
That was a good answer.
A husband.
A husband, period.
A part of me kind of, I don't know why we don't. But I will say something that I wish I would have known while we were dating, or even now, like as we are living, is it could be too good, right? Like it's okay if something you have is that good. We shouldn't, there's this social media thing where it's like, oh, it's too good to be true, right? Or like they only post their happy pictures and stuff. You know, mind you, we started dating in the relationship goals era. I don't know if you guys remember that, the hashtag relationship goals, like all the couples going viral and stuff. So once that happened, we kind of like backed off of it a little bit, right? Like we'll share stuff with like captions, just talking about how much we love each other, but we have never tried to put ourselves in that like position where we're goals, you know? And what that looks like is like us not really telling people what this like testimony of a marriage really is. Like our relationship is not picture perfect, you know, and it doesn't have to be in order for us to share it, you know? And it's like, I know for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I don't want to share, you know, if you think we share a lot, we probably share like 5% of what our life really looks like,
Yeah, there's a lot of
you know?
depth.
Yeah, and social media has a way of making it feel like, oh, you kind of know everything, you know? And it's like, in this like season that we're in a really like transitional season in our lives right now. I just want to dwell in it. Like, I want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to say like, yeah, I love my husband and he loves me. And I want to talk about how I'm a wife without someone being like, oh, she's a pick me. Like, I do a lot of pick me stuff, you know. That's why I've been picked. You know? But it's like, this is my real life, and like, and this is who I am, you know. And I wish I could tell my younger self that, like, take pride in who you are to this man and who you are as a person, and, you know, like, talk to the next person about it. Don't feel like someone is going to judge you for being, you know, who you are. And I think we've again, shied away from it a lot. I think there's been a couple opportunities that we've just kind of passed up. Like, no, we're not going to talk about it. That's why when you mentioned it,
you did something with this.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know. Like, we kind of thought about it for a little bit because we were like, oh, it's talking about our marriage. Do we want to do that? Do we want to open this can of worms? But, we do ministry, and a lot of people, we talk about it one-on-one all the time. It's really just like the bigger platforms that we're kind of like, maybe not. But yeah, that's what I would tell myself. It's like, if God gives you a blessing, you should share it. If you've made it through something, you should share it. It's a good thing. And, someone like hating on it shouldn't make you feel like you don't want to share it.
I think especially in this day and age where people are finding excuses not to get married and excuses not to have children, we definitely need more voices that are advocating for it, because it's an amazing thing. There's a statistic, and I'm a finance person. 86% of millionaires are married. 86% of millionaires are married. I think it's one of the single greatest things you can do to elevate your life. It's find a good person. Like, it's almost like God invented it for a reason.
Yeah. It's a good statistic.
That's a great statistic. My other shout out to Sharon. She's always telling me, look at Stephen Curry, look at LeBron James. They're married. Like, she's always saying, and she's similar to you all, where she's like, there's so much benefit in marriage. And I wish that people would talk more about that, because it really can be really good. And when I was thinking of, because people were asking me like, can you do a marriage episode? But we've talked about relationships, but like, can you have someone on here? I think it was God, like, put you on my heart. And I was like, hey, and then you're like, I'll get back to you. And I prayed on it. I was like, I really hope that they do this, because I think that just hearing you all's perspective, you all have been together for a long time. You all have moved apart, came back together, had a kid. Like, there's so many things that you all had to navigate, and to sit here with me right now and just to talk about how fruitful it is, despite everything that happened, and you all came out on top and are putting God in the center of that, I think is a testimony within itself. So I appreciate you all.
Yeah, you prayed for sure.
Yeah.
You definitely prayed, because
you're like,
you compelled me for sure. So it's I think 2026 is going to be great for y'all.
Thank you.
I pray that for y'all. And I just want to say one more thing, because God's just putting it on my heart. We made a lot of mistakes, and I want to make sure that I'm always forthright with them. When we had our first child and we weren't married, it put a lot of unnecessary stress on us, because we didn't have the infrastructure necessary to sustain that. And the only institution that can sustain, forgive me for saying, the only institution that can sustain a healthy family is a healthy marriage. God allocates grace for those that are not in that situation. He gives grace. He gives support. That was not his design. And I want to tell people, it's not too late to do it right. You could be in a relationship right now and you're not doing it the right way. It's not too late to start now. We had that. We were like, hey, we made a lot of mistakes, but we can start living right now. And I want to offer that for people, because I don't think it's spoken of enough, where it's just like, yeah, you've been doing it wrong for the last 10 years. This could be a different year. It's never too late to start doing it right, because the moment you do, the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sin, right? There's mercy available, and that mercy is what we're living in right now, because we was like, we're sorry. Like we repented. We were like, this isn't how we want to continue. And now we're enjoying fruits of it as if and that's what mercy does. It's like, it makes it as if you never done anything wrong to begin with. And that is available. So I just wanted to openly share that very difficult part of our journey, because it was hard. It was very hard. And I'm a pastor's kid, so think about that. It was very hard, but we always made sure we wasn't going to cover up one mistake by making another one.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. And I think knowing how grace is given to us and knowing that there's so much redemption and God makes all things beautiful, I think is a very important part of this. So thank you so much. And I hope one day I can sit here with my future husband and we can have a conversation. But thank you so much for being on here, and I appreciate you all so much. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, we are uncovering who we are one step at a time, and we're unfolding at our own pace, and we're exactly where we need to be. Take care, everyone.